This video explores a speculative what-if scenario, imagining an uncolonized, technologically advanced Africa and its global impact.
Chapter 1: Dawn of the Alliance. In a world untouched by the ravages of colonialism, Africa stood as a testament to human resilience and the splendor of cultural diversity. The continent, a mosaic of thriving kingdoms, republics, and confederations, had evolved over centuries into a global powerhouse of innovation, trade, and ecological stewardship. The year was 2023, and the dawn of the alliance marked a new era for the African people. The sun rose over the sprawling savannas, the dense rainforests, and the bustling cities, casting a golden hue on a continent at peace. The Great African Alliance, a union of states that spanned from the Mediterranean shores of the north to the Cape of Good Hope in the south, was celebrating its centennial. It was a time of reflection and jubilation, as the alliance had ushered in a century of unprecedented prosperity and cooperation. The alliance's roots could be traced back to the visionary leaders who, in the early 20th century, foresaw the potential of a united Africa. They had worked tirelessly to forge bonds between the myriad cultures and societies, recognizing that their diversity was not a barrier but their greatest strength. Through mutual respect and shared goals, they laid the foundation for a collective governance that honored each nation's sovereignty while pursuing common interests. Education and innovation had flourished under the alliance. Universities and research institutions dotted the landscape, drawing scholars from all corners of the world to study Africa's rich history and contribute to its bright future. The continent had become a leader in sustainable technology, harnessing the power of the sun, wind, and water to fuel its cities and industries without compromising the integrity of its natural wonders. The preservation of Africa's environment was a cornerstone of the alliance's philosophy. The continent's leaders had long understood the intrinsic value of their ecological heritage. National parks and wildlife reserves were sanctuaries for the planet's most diverse fauna and flora, and they played a crucial role in the global fight against climate change. Ecotourism thrived, with visitors from all nations coming to witness the majestic beauty of Africa's landscapes and the harmonious coexistence of its people with nature. Culturally, Africa was a beacon of artistic and philosophical thought. Music, dance, literature, and visual arts from the continent had a profound influence on global culture, celebrated for their vibrancy and depth. African philosophers and thinkers were at the forefront of discussions on ethics, governance, and human rights, their voices resonating in international forums. The alliance's economy was a marvel of the modern world. Intercontinental trade routes crisscrossed the land and sea, while the African currency, the Afro, stood strong against the world's major currencies. The continent's wealth was not hoarded, but shared equitably, ensuring that prosperity reached even the most remote villages. As the Centennial celebrations commenced, leaders from across the alliance gathered in the great city of Timbuktu, once a historic center of learning, and now the capital of the African Alliance. They were joined by dignitaries from around the globe, all eager to pay homage to a continent that had realized its potential without the scars of exploitation and suppression. The opening ceremony was a kaleidoscope of color and sound, with performers from every member state showcasing the cultural tapestry that was Africa's pride. The message was clear: unity in diversity, strength in cooperation. The alliance was not just a political entity, it was a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it worked together for the common good. As the day gave way to night, the celebrations continued under the starry African sky. The people of the continent looked forward with hope and determination, ready to face the challenges of the future as one. The dawn of the alliance was not just a moment in time, it was a promise of a bright and enduring legacy for Africa and the world. In the heart of Africa, where the horizon kisses the sky, A new dawn unfurled its golden rays upon the harmony of tomorrow. This was a land where the dreams of ancestors had been woven into the fabric of reality, a utopia that stood as a beacon of hope and human achievement. Here, the pulse of technology beat in harmony with the wild heart of nature, creating a symphony of progress and preservation. Imagine, if you will, a continent where futuristic cities rose like mirages from the savannas and rainforests, their sleek spires reflecting the sun's brilliance. These were places of wonder, where the ingenuity of the African people had given birth to marvels of architecture and engineering, cities that breathed with the land, powered by the very elements, solar orchards, wind farms, and kinetic walkways, all contributing to a grid that sang with clean energy. Within these cities, the citizens thrived, their lives enriched by technology that served not to dominate, but to enhance. Education was a jewel in the crown of this society, accessible to all, where virtual classrooms brought the wisdom of the world to the fingertips of eager learners. Health was a universal right, with medical advancements rooted in the deep knowledge of traditional healing, augmented by cutting-edge research that flowed from the continent's own brilliant minds. But this was not a land that had surrendered to the cold touch of metal and glass. No, the wilderness still held its ancient power, vast and untamed. The people walked paths lined with baobabs, and marveled at the herds of elephants that roamed free, as they had for millennia. The air was alive with the calls of birds and the rustle of leaves, a reminder that here, nature was not a thing to be conquered, but a partner to be respected. In this Africa, the balance between the urban and the wild was the cornerstone of society. The people moved seamlessly from the vibrancy of city life to the tranquility of nature, understanding that both were essential to the soul. The wilderness was not a place to escape from, but a place to return to, a sanctuary for the spirit, as much as for the wildlife it cradled. And what of the societal structure that underpinned this utopia? It was a tapestry as diverse as the continent itself, woven from threads of communalism and individuality, tradition and innovation. Governance was a shared endeavor, with decisions made not by the few but by the many, through systems that harnessed the collective wisdom of the alliance. The economy was a reflection of this ethos, where prosperity was not hoarded, but flowed like the great rivers of the continent, reaching every community, every individual. As the sun set on this Africa, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, one could not help but wonder, what if the world beyond took a page from this book of harmony? What lessons could be learned from a society that had built its foundations on the respect for diversity, the embrace of technology, and the love for the natural world? The harmony of tomorrow was not just a testament to what Africa could have been. It was a vision of what humanity could still become. It was a story of potential realized, a narrative that asked each of us to consider our own place in the tapestry of life. In this Africa, the future was not a distant dream, but a living, breathing reality. A reminder that when we walk in step with nature and with one another, the possibilities are boundless. So let us carry this vision in our hearts. Let it inspire us to forge our own paths of harmony. For in the story of this uncolonized, unexploited Africa, we find a mirror reflecting the best of what we can be, a world where every individual, every community, every nation can rise together, united in the harmony of tomorrow.